B1 family, welcome to Black Logic. Today we're going to talk about the ousting of Claudine Gay and the reasons behind it. Now, the cover story about this is mostly about her alleged plagiarism of a dissertation that, I guess for a PhD back in 1997. They stated that she basically copied and pasted other professors' work into her dissertation without citing her references, without rearranging the words. And we're going to dive deep into this because this is not about plagiarism of work. This is about disgracing and defaming one of the most prestigious Black women because she's the first Black person to be the president of the most distinguished, most prestigious school in all the world. And that's what need to be important here. This is once again disgracing Black people on a very high level, using the Hamas-Palestinian-Israeli conflict as a gateway into defaming her based upon some plagiarism that happened back in 1997. So if they don't believe that Harvard University did all sorts of research, they did all sorts of investigations to ensure that this Black person was going to be a good representation of the college. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Harvard Corporation is a board of execs that essentially vote in and vote out, and they control the endowment of Harvard University. We're going to break that down. Harvard University is worth more than $50 billion and has a higher GDP than over 120 countries in the world. That is how powerful, that is how rich Harvard University is. Now, taking the most prestigious school in all the world, Harvard University, the richest school in all the world, and one of the richest countries in all the world, Harvard University. Do you believe that was going to last long? Claudine Gay became president of Harvard University on July 1st of this year. She only lasted 6 months before the system took her down. See, she played a particular role, and I'm not putting on the cape for Claudine Gay. I'm not in that intellectual hierarchy, people, but we have to understand this is not just an attack upon a woman. This is not attack upon a Black person, but this is an attack of intelligence. This is an attack of being prestige at a certain level. It goes beyond saying, but we're going to cover a lot of things here today, family. But I have to break these things down so we can culminate and bring these things together to have a better understanding with context, essentially, okay? So first and foremost, freedom of speech, First Amendment, the right to speak, write, and share ideas and opinions without government punishment, okay? It's key, without government punishment. And as we're going to see some video clips here, is this an attack on your First Amendment rights as a Black person with freedom of speech? That's the first question, because when we get through these clips, you're gonna understand what I'm getting to. Let's go down to freedom of religion, the right to practice any religious faith or none at all. The right to petition, the right to ask government to fix a wrong or change a policy, okay? So this is where it all started, in my opinion. This is where it all started, October 13th. Okay, this is roughly a week after the Hamas-Israeli conflict essentially occurred, okay? So I want you to listen to the remarks from Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard.
Moment of intense pain and grief for a great many people in our community and around the world. I feel that pain and grief myself. As members of a university community, we have a choice. We can fan the flames of division and hatred that are roiling the world. Or we can try to be a force for something different and better. People have asked me where we stand. So let me be clear. Our university rejects terrorism. That includes the barbaric atrocities perpetrated by Hamas. Our university rejects hate. Hate of Jews, hate of Muslims, hate of any group of people based on their faith, their national origin, or any aspect of their identity. Our university rejects the harassment or intimidation of individuals based on their beliefs. And our university embraces a commitment to free expression. That commitment extends even to views that many of us find objectionable, even outrageous. We do not punish or sanction people for expressing such views, but that is a far cry for endorsing them. It's in the exercise of our freedom to speak that we reveal our characters, and we reveal the character of our institution. We can issue public pronouncements declaring the rightness of our own points of view and vilify those who disagree, or we can choose to talk and to listen with care and humility, to seek deeper understanding, and to meet one another with compassion. We can inflame an already volatile situation on our campus, or we can focus our attention where it belongs, on the unfolding tragedy thousands of miles away. We can ask ourselves how, as human beings, we can be helpful to people who are desperately trying to protect themselves and their families, people who are fighting to survive. How we go forward as a community is up to each of us.
So that is my opinion when it comes to when it all went south for Claudine Gay. With this particular video message, because she stayed very neutral, and at the end, some of the wording, you can tell she was being pro-Palestinian, okay? Trying to hang on to the dears of life, because we understand that over 20,000 Palestinians has been killed. And they're stating out of that 20,000, 7,000 of them were Hamas terrorist fighters. Now, those numbers are projections. Those numbers are not antiquated with any validity or statistics to prove that. But we do know that at least 20,000 Palestinians has been killed by the unguided missiles and droppings of bombs in that Gaza region of Palestine. So this is kind of where it all went south, in my opinion, with Claudine Gay. She should have never made that video message, okay? But I believe that she was propelled by the Harvard Corporation to say something, because there was rising groups on Harvard campuses speaking out against Israel being what they would like to believe anti-Semitic. This I do not know. I'm not familiar with the Harvard campus and some of these so-called meetings they were having that was anti-Semitic and calling for the genocide of Jews. But these are the allegations that were essentially made, okay? Now, over the weekend, one Jewish Democratic congressman joined with Elise Stefanik, the number 3 Republican in the House of Representatives, to demand accountability for anti-Semitism. It goes on and here, says, Moskowitz joined the Stefanik to demand 3 elite universities fire their leaders for failing to protect Jews on campus. Now, this is a fallacy. This is false. This is fraudulent. These statements should have this congresswoman thrown out, because no violence has occurred to Jewish people on the Harvard campus. There's no reports. There are no reports. It's only been people speaking. That goes back to your First Amendment. If there's no direct threat calling for the violence or killing of Jews on Harvard campus, then are you exercising your freedom of speech, or is your freedom of speech being canceled? Is your freedom of speech being demonized? Is your freedom of speech being taken away? Now, the problem with that video with Claudine Gay is, for the most part, she stayed neutral. She should have automatically, if she was going to do this video, come out pro-Israeli, come out pro-Jew. Because if you're not pro-Jew throughout the entire video of this, people are going to label it anti-Semitic. And this is the fall of Claudine Gay, when she made this video message. Now, we're going to get into something else here, because it's very important that you guys understand the context in which this congressional investigation, okay, of Claudine Gay and the steps she did not take to protect Jewish students, okay? And again, from the research that I've done, I haven't seen any violent attacks of Jewish students on the Harvard campus or around the Harvard campus, to say. But again, this, in my opinion, was an attack of a Black intellectual who held the most prestigious position in any college. Again, Harvard University is worth $50 billion. Their amount of money, their endowment, or the amount of money that Harvard University is worth is over 120 countries. That's how powerful, that is how rich Harvard University is. Harvard University is not only the richest university in the world, but it's also the most powerful. And that is where we're getting this wrong at. We're looking at plagiarism. This has nothing to do with plagiarism. Dr. Claudine Gay was on trial for her job, for the steps she may have not have taken, but of course the words that she spoke that stayed neutral, in my opinion, but she should have stayed pro-Israeli or just said nothing at all. And that's where we're getting this wrong at. So picture this. Harvard, one of the most prestigious institutions globally, known for its academic excellence and, of course, its fair share of controversy. President Claudine Gay, or ex-President Claudine Gay as of yesterday, breaking barriers, assumed the role of president in July 1st of this year. Fast forward to 2024, January 2nd, where she stepped down. See, the elephant in the room, what they're trying to put on the forefront to fool the American people, that this is about a scholar holding the most prestigious position, plagiarizing her work that was dated back in 1997. And we're going to debunk all the lies. This is, once again, to disgrace Black people through one singular figure and one singular entity, and the name is Dr. Claudine Gay. Allegations of anti-Semitism on campus. Some voices have accused Harvard under Gay's leadership of turning a blind eye to instances of anti-Semitic behavior. Show me the reports, show me the crimes. Testimonies and statements flooded Congress, claiming that the university failed to address incidents adequately, knowing whether this is a case of systematic negligence or simply a challenging environment to manage opinions are divided. Now, I want you guys to look at this investigation. I want you to hear what Dr. Claudine Gay is saying, because it's very important for you to hear this. And I really want you to analyze her words, right? Because she, again, these intellectuals, when they get on these platforms, they try to stay as neutral as possible, and always regarding and always referring back to their college policies and rules and regulations.
Based upon your testimony, you understand that this call for intifada is to commit genocide against the Jewish people in Israel and globally, correct?
Okay, very, very quickly. Let me break down, give you the quick definition of intifada. And now, intifada is an Arabic word that translates to shaking off or uprising. It is a key concept in contemporary Arabic usage, referring to an uprising against oppression. Intifada is not basically a bunch of terrorists saying, you infidels, we're going to kill you infidels. No. It has nothing to do with that. It's about a word to describe a people rising up against oppression, okay? It says in the Palestinian context, it is understood to mean a civil uprising. It has been used to describe periods of intense Palestinian protests against Israel, mainly in the form of violent terrorism. Now, I want you to focus on the origin of the word, that it means a civil uprising, meaning people going out to protest, meaning people calling out oppression in the occupation of Palestine by the way of Israel. But of course, the way they worded it here is that it's a form of violent terrorism. Okay, so that is the definition of intifada.
I will say again, that type of hateful speech is personally abhorrent to me.
Do you believe that type of hateful speech is contrary to Harvard's code of conduct, or is it allowed at Harvard?
It is at odds with the values of Harvard.
Can you
But
not
our
say here that it is
values
against the
also-
code of conduct at Harvard?
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our.
What is Dr. Claudine stating here? She's basically stating at Harvard University, you have the freedom of speech that's giving you the right by the way of our Constitution. That's all she's saying. Now, let me just back it up a little bit. She's stating that you have the freedom of speech on Harvard campus.
Speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies against bullying, harassment.
Does that speech not cross that barrier? Does that speech not call for the genocide of Jews and the elimination of Israel?
When
You
that speech,
testify that you understand that is the definition of intifada. Is that speech according to the code of conduct or not?
we embrace a commitment to free expression and give a wide berth to free expression, even of views that are objectionable.
You and I
outrageous,
both know
and
that's not the
offensive.
case. You were aware that Harvard.
Now,
ranked
now
dead
I'm
last
trying to
when it
figure
came-
out. This is a congresswoman who I don't know what this is. This is a hanging of the court. They cancel our sister Claudine Gay because she stayed neutral and she stayed intellectual on her responses. Which here's my thing: if she wanted to keep her position, she should have just condemned Hamas. She should have condemned terrorist acts against Jews. She should have just been pro-Israel, pro-Jewish, but she wasn't. She was being an intellectual. She was stating upon the regulations and rules of Harvard and how they accept freedom of speech, freedom of expression, as long as no one is directly threatening anyone. If people want to speak pro-Hamas, so be it. If they want to speak about pro-Palestinians not getting killed by bombs being dropped on innocent people and children, then so be it. See, that is where we're going wrong at here, family. This is a hanging of the high court. This is a black woman that's representing black people and pushing the narrative that black people are pro-Hamas, that black people are inherently, remember that news story, that black people are inherently anti-Semitic, which is wrong. As I told you before, and this is not the stupidity of black folk, but most black people, I would like to believe, don't even know what anti-Semitic means. I mean, especially from, 2023. Ask a black person what anti-Semitic mean back in 2022. Ask a black person in your local neighborhood, what does anti-Semitic mean back in 2022? And they will probably say, man, I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. But this is Dr. Claudine Gay on trial as a black person. Again, pushing the racist narrative that black people are anti-Semitic. As this intellectual, beautiful, black, prestigious woman in her position, doing her job, trying to be as neutral as possible, which was the wrong course of action, in my opinion, because anytime you start speaking about Hamas, Palestine, and Israel, if you're not going to be pro-Israel, just know that you're going to get canceled. Just know that you're going to get fired. Just know you're going to be part of the hanging of the high court, because that is what this is. Why is she so upset? Why is she so upset? Now, all these other presidents that she called the firing of, they stepped down. And we knew Dr. Claudine Gay was going to step down as well. Even though Dr. Claudine Gay had the backing of the Harvard Corporation. Even though, and we're going to get into the plagiarism because they're like, well, this wasn't about her remarks or the lack of her remarks on anti-Semitism on the Harvard campus, but it also had to do with her plagiarism that occurred back in 1997. You don't think they double and triple and quadruple her work of her dissertation that was then published in a public manner? Yeah, they did their research. They know that she didn't plagiarize anything, but we're going to break that down as well because all of these allegations had these different agendas being pushed, had these different narratives being pushed. One, black people are anti-Semitic. Two, black people are not as intelligent or as smart as some would like to believe some of them are. They're just copying and pasting people's shit and putting in their own paper. That's what this is about. This is about defaming and disgracing black people.
To free speech. Are you not aware of that report?
As I observed earlier, I reject that characterization.
It's the
of our
data shows
campus.
it's true. Will admissions offers be rescinded or any disciplinary action be taken against students or applicants who say, from the river to the sea or intifada, advocating for the murder of Jews?
As I've said, that type of hateful, reckless, offensive speech is personally abhorrent to me.
Today that
When
no
someone-
action will be taken. What action will be taken?
When speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies, including policies against bullying, harassment, or intimidation, we take action, and we have robust discipline.
What the sister is stating is when speech transform into action, that is when they step in and do things. But we're not going to persecute students for their open freedoms of the First Amendment. That is what she's stating.
Disciplinary processes that allow us to hold individuals accountable.
What action has been taken against students who are harassing and calling for the genocide of Jews on Harvard's campus?
I can assure you, we have robust
What
disciplinary
actions have been
processes
taken? I'm not
with
asking.
actions underway.
I'm asking what actions have been taken against
Given-
those students.
When she say that different processes are in action, what she mean is there are ongoing investigation of students who has possibly said hate speech that may incite violence on campus. That's what Dr. Claudine Gay is saying. She's like, we have investigations, but again, she stands so intellectual, she stands so prestigious, she's so much in her position that she just can't do it. She can't lean one way or another. She just in the middle, right? And that is where the problem lies.
Given students' rights to privacy and our obligations under FERPA, I will not say more about any specific cases other than
Exactly.
reiterate that processes are ongoing.
Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
Stop it. Family, listen, I gotta pause this because I just have to look this up. I just have to look this up because this Congresswoman, I know lawyers get disbarred. This Congresswoman needs to step down. This Congresswoman, let's see here, Judas Farragut says, Master Stefanik. Yeah, Master Stefanik need to step down. Master Stefanik need to step down. Because I'm about to look this up very quickly because we already know the #1 hate crime in America. Come on now. Hate crime against Black people. Man, give me a second. Give me 1 second, family. I'm tired of this mess. This is ridiculous. This is when Black people are on trial. And if people don't understand, oh, no, it's just that one Black person. No, don't forget any Black person in a high prestigious position is a representation of Black people because they see us as a monolith, even though we're not. Okay. So let's go into this. I'm looking at this. This is fresh. I really haven't looked this over. Offenses by categories, known offenders. Okay. It says among the 13,000 hate crime offense reported, crimes against person, crimes against property. And we go back here, we're going to see that majority of the crimes are based upon what race. Most crimes are based upon a person's race. Then comes second is religion. So again, are Jewish people a race or religion? Or are there a religion that has a certain ethnic? Because here's the thing, you have Jewish people that are from Czechoslovakia. You have Jewish people from the Czech Republic. You have Jewish people from Romania. You have Jewish people from all the different European worlds. And you have Jewish people from African countries. And you have Jewish people from America. So Jewish people are not just a race of people. There are different ethnics that coincide with a particular religion. Okay? Judaism. That's what we're referring to here. So we need to understand these things. Again, this is fresh. I probably could have did a better, but we understand that race is the #1 hate crimes are based upon race. And if I dive a little bit deeper here, again, that was just a fresh take edit, family. I'm pretty sure I can find it. That majority of the hate crimes in America occur to Black people. Not Jewish, not people who deem the religion of being Jewish, okay? That deem the religion of being Jewish. Because a lot of people like to believe that Jewish people are not just are not, it's not just a religion, but it's a particular people. Now, when we talking about, DNA, RNA, when we speak about genetics, if you test their blood, especially those who derive out of Europe, they're going to come up as Anglo-Saxon. So when we're talking about race, but when we're talking about religion, yeah, that's a whole different story. But look at this, family. Look at this. Increase in hate crimes. The data reveals that hate crime incidents increased by 794 in 2022. There were 11,000 cases compared to 10,000 in 2021. Race-based crimes, hate crimes rooted in race, ethnicity, or ancestry remain the most common. There were 6,500 reported incidents in 2022. Anti-Black or African-American incidents numbering 3,400 were more than 3 times higher, the next highest racial or ethnic group, okay? Religious-based crime. There were 2,000 reported incidents based on religion. More than half of these were driven by anti-Jewish bias. Okay, this information, these stats are from 2022, and we understand that statistics is always a year or two behind. So these are the most accurate numbers that you can get, and this is coming from justice.gov. So now we're gonna go back to this Congresswoman and really see what the hell she's about to say, because I just know she's not gonna say the #1 hate crime in America is anti-Semitism. I know she's not gonna say that. I know she's not gonna say that because I looked at this video and I don't recall her saying that. Let's check it out.
I know that over the last couple of months, there's been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which I understand is the critical topic that we are here to discuss.
That's correct. It is anti-Jewish hate crimes. And Harvard ranks
Let's back up.
Anti-Jewish hate crimes. And
Hold
I
on.
know that over the last couple
Let me
of
back up.
months,
Let me back up.
crime in America is.
Let me back up.
reiterate that processes are ongoing.
Here we go.
Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
I know that over the last couple of months, there's been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which I understand is the critical topic that we are here to discuss.
That's correct. It is anti-Jewish hate crimes.
No, it is not.
And Harvard ranks.
No, it is not. Lies of the suspected white supremacists that have positions of power in our government, spewing lies and hanging this Black woman in high court and making these alleged allegations that contradicts the very government that she's serving, and stating that the #1 hate crime is anti-Semitism, is anti-Jewish bias right here. Okay, but the #1 hate crime, according to the justice.gov, stating that anti-Black or anti-African-American incidents numbering 3,400, so which is 1,400 more incidents than being anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. That's where we are, family. That's where we are.
5 o'clock, Harvard University President Claudine Gay has resigned after intense backlash from her testimony on Capitol Hill about anti-Semitism on campus and plagiarism accusations as well. Gay has faced a lot of scrutiny in the short 6 months that she was leading the school. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. In her resignation letter, Dr. Gay called this decision difficult but necessary. WBZ's Mike Sullivan is live in Cambridge. Mike, I know you've been talking with students and faculty about this change. A lot of mixed reaction there.
I think polarizing is probably the best word to use, and that news hit those students and faculty this afternoon. One student we spoke with said he believes that this resignation was inevitable. Another student was
Oh, yeah, it was inevitable.
even after we told her she didn't believe it until she opened up an email and saw it herself. The shortest tenure of a Harvard professor is over. Claudine Gay is stepping down after December filled with scrutiny and allegations of plagiarism. The news striking students this afternoon.
She said in her statement that she thought it was ultimately the right thing for the university to move forward, and I think that's probably right.
Gay took the reins more than 6 months ago, becoming the first Black president in school history.
It was good to have someone of a similar
That look like
sort of
you.
represent.
She came under fire in early December for her handling of anti-Semitism on campus. The backlash stemming from the Israel and Hamas war. In particular, a congressional meeting where she was asked about how she thought the school responded.
She's someone who, under oath 17 times, refused to call out the extermination of the Jewish people.
Wow. Now, family, a lot of times when people have these conversations, we're not fact checking the truth. The incidents that occurred on that day were chaotic. Hamas terrorists came in and killed thousands of Jewish people, which was totally inhumanely wrong. But now that this conflict has been going on for so long, statistics have shown that majority of the Palestinians that are getting killed are not part of Hamas. That they're basically Palestinian citizens. And we understand that majority of citizens in Israel are Jewish and majority of the citizens in Palestine are Muslim. So is this an ethnic thing or ethnic cleansing or ethnocide? Is this a race-based thing? Because a majority of the Jews that they show on TV are really white, pale, very white in hue and color. And where Palestinians are more of an olive, maybe light brown and tan in color. Could it be a colorism thing? There's so many things at play here, family. And a lot of times when we do these very volatile, very complex topics, we even have to be careful because YouTube put a strike on your channel because you were being pro whatever. Because you understand, you live in a Christian country. America was built on Christian values. So when you have a lot of Black people supposedly going back to their roots of being part of the Nation of Islam or becoming Islamic or choosing the Muslim faith, that go against the very ground that America was built on, which is Christianity by the way of slavery and inducing indoctrination of Black people for the past 100 so years or so. Black people have been on trial for quite some time now. Every time we achieve some of the highest positions that the system allows us to achieve, this is only a way to show that they can put you up and then they can bring you down. And anytime you don't do what they want you to do, like Tyrese wearing a dress in front of all these other men who are wearing tuxedos, again, they know how to build you up and they know how to break you down. And if you guys don't believe this is about Black people in general and defaming and disgrace us in general, and that she is just being a Trojan horse that were allowed in the higher ups, during a perfect situation. On one hand, they tell you, no, the reason why she resigned her position as president wasn't her remarks on Hamas in Israel, but it was about her plagiarism that were being investigated after her investigation and trial on Congress with Massa, as Judah said, Congresswoman Stefanik. Family, Black people are always on trial. We can be 100% innocent, or we can be 90% innocent and 10% guilty, but just know, in the eyes of white supremacy and the anti-racist country that we live in, you're always guilty. You know why? Ask Jonathan Majors.
Prosecutors say the actor struck his then-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, during an argument in the backseat of a cab last March, leaving her with a lacerated ear and a broken finger. A new video evidence this week shows Majors lifting Jabari into the air and throwing her into the back of a cab. The video then shows Majors sprinting through the streets of Manhattan as Jabari chases him. Prosecutors say the evidence showed Majors manhandling Jabari, while the defense argued that he was running away from her because she...
Well, of course he was manhandling her. He's a man, and he was handling her. No pun intended. But the point of this is, now I don't know if you guys have ever been in a relationship where you and your significant other was having, an argument of sorts. And most men like myself, I am trying to leave the scene. I am trying to get away from the argument because I know I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting angry because we know when you're with someone, they know how to push your buttons. They know how to get under your skin. They know the things to say. They know the things to do to really make you upset. So the best thing is to leave the scene. So a part of the video, which they really didn't show, is Jonathan Major trying to leave the cab where she is hanging on to him. And he's like, hey, get off of me, get back inside the cab. And quite frankly, I would like to believe over 75% of men would do that. Over 75% of men would do that. Like, get off of me. I'm done with this. It's over. I'm out. To the point where this man had to run through the dangerous streets of New York City to get away from this white woman. Now, when you guys think about this, hold on. When you guys think about this, is it not hilarious that you see a black man at night running away from a white woman? Usually you see a black man, you see a couple of black guys walking down the street with hoodies on, right? I'm perpetuating the stereotype. I know. I'm perpetuating the stereotype. And there's a white woman, there's a couple of white women, a couple of white girls, and they cross the street immediately. But if you saw this, tell her the tape, okay? If you saw this, where is that? If you saw this, where a black man is running away from a white woman, wouldn't you think that's odd?
He was running away from her because she started the attack. The verdict could carry major consequences for Majors, a fast-rising Hollywood star who has seen his career derailed by the allegations.
So they're basing this investigation off a laceration behind her ear and a supposedly broken finger. Now, one thing I'm not hearing, I'm hearing about, the violence and the assault that Jonathan Major supposedly and allegedly have done. But no one is talking about the onslaught of assault that this white woman is doing on Jonathan Major, and that she could potentially broken her finger as he is trying to shield her off of him, trying to get rid of her, get off of me. She could have easily broke her finger. She's a very skinny, look to be frail white woman. So we're always on trial, regardless if we're innocent or guilty. We're always guilty, by the way.
If convicted, he faces up to 1 year in prison.
1 year in prison. Well, they did get the brother on assault. This is the problem, family. So this whole Claudine Gay resignation was her firing. People in certain positions, certain high places, CEOs, directors, board of execs, university presidents, they get fired by the way of resignation. They say, hey, I think it's time that you turn in your resignation. That's basically saying you're quitting on a professional term, but we're firing you, okay? But we're firing you. Oh, and by the way, did you guys see that, what's the guy's name? Epstein. They released a mind map of Epstein's connections to certain people and certain organizations. So go and look for that. I may cover that on Friday. I just don't know that yet.
Majors was found guilty by a New York jury today. The 34-year-old Creed III actor has been convicted of assaulting and harassing his former girlfriend. The charges stem from a fight between the couple in the back of a car last March when the victim alleges Majors attacked her and broke her finger. This verdict has put Majors' blooming career on hold. He was previously set to star in the next phase of the Marvel movie universe until he was facing these charges. His sentencing will take place in February.
Yeah, I guess that makes perfect sense. You and your significant other is having an altercation in the back of a cab. Somehow there's a laceration on her ear and her fingers get broke. And you started to run away from that. And she chases you. And she's like, you broke my finger. You broke my finger. Instead of going to a hospital, instead of making a case, instead of calling the police, she chased him for like 3 New York City blocks. And if you guys ever been to New York, some of them city blocks in New York are very, very long. I guess the brother's in really good shape because he just kept running. She tired out. But this is hanging up the high court, family. When black people get in high positions, when Black people are very wealthy and successful, I'm telling you right now, the ratio of us staying successful, listen, shout out goes out to my brother Denzel Washington. Somehow he has found a way to navigate himself to the point where he is yet to be any negative allegations, to be trumped up on any charges, on any sexual, anything. Somehow Denzel Washington, like, I'm gonna do my movies, I'm going home. He's not going to Hollywood parties. He's not getting into the mix. He's not messing with white women. And again, your preference of who you date is on you. But again, there's certain people that I look to who has been in Hollywood for decades, and there's nothing negative that came out about them. But this Claudine Gay, let's break this down, family. Let's break it down. So Harvard President Claudine Gay, plagued by plagiarism allegation in the tumultuous final weeks of tenure. And this is the picture that they're painting. They're not really talking about, oh, she really didn't stand up against anti-Semitic groupings and speakings at Harvard University. The reason why she's resigning is because any professor, let alone the president of Harvard University, should never be plagiarizing anyone else's work. So we're going to do a deep dive into this because this is coming from the Harvard Crimson, okay? The Harvard Crimson, the official paper of Harvard University. The allegations, many of which are individually minor, but spans Gay's entire academic career. She ought to be held to the same standard as Harvard's own students and faculty called for her resignation. Right. So that's what this is about. Okay. That's what this is about. This is not about her not taking a stronger stance in standing up for Jewish students at Harvard. This is about her plagiarism from her 1997 dissertation. That's what this is about. It states here, told the Free Beacon that he is not all concerned about the passages. What's important about this? It says Cannon, a political scientist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, told the Free Beacon that he is not at all concerned about the passages. This isn't even close to an example of academic plagiarism. So these are one of the people that they stated that she plagiarized her work from. And he is saying this is not even close enough example of academic plagiarism. Okay, she did not plagiarize my work. That's what he's saying. The university spokesperson, Jonathan L. Swain, declined to comment on the latest allegations. Gay first faced allegations of plagiarism in mid-December after reports in the Free Beacon and Substack claimed she plagiarized portions of her 1997 PhD dissertation and 3 other academic works. So these are the ongoing allegations that this sister, very intelligent, very prestigious, very beautiful sister, that she plagiarized her work back in 1997. She's at the age of 53 right now. So you mean to tell me before you made her president on July 1st of 2023, you mean to tell me that no one did a deep dive into her dissertation to get her PhD? No one did investigations of her background, so she have a criminal history? Yes, they did. That's the criteria to be Harvard's president. They did these things. Let me move on. The allegations came shortly after Gay's controversial testimony during a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. Wait a minute. Did you see that, family? The allegations came shortly after Gay's controversial testimony during a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism on college campuses, which sparked calls for her resignation from members of Congress, alumni, and donors. Now, the key word of this is not really Congress. It's alumni and donors. Alumni and donors. Because alumni are boosters that give money. Alumni are also part of the whole legacy thing. And donors, people who just give money because, they either went to Harvard or they like Harvard or they have business dealings with Harvard. That's what this is about. Gay's presidency survived the immediate aftermath of the disastrous testimony with the unanimous backing of the Harvard Corporation. So the Harvard Corporation is basically a board of execs for Harvard. And they backed Claudine Gay. Now, let me tell you why I believe that they backed Claudine Gay. So they wouldn't, these allegations wouldn't deface or disgrace the good name of Harvard University. Basically saying, hey, we made a good choice in Claudine Gay, so let's back her, even if we didn't make a good choice. It was the upstanding to hold the prestigious title of being a Harvard president, of course, at Harvard University, okay? Following an independent review, the corporation announced that though instances of improper citations had been identified in Gay scholarship, they did not violate Harvard standards for research misconduct. What are they stating? They're stating that she didn't plagiarize anything. She improperly cited her work, but she didn't plagiarize her work. That's what they're getting at here. After the initial allegations, Gay requested 4 corrections. She said, okay, well, I guess the way it was cited, I probably need to go back and correct it. We've been there, right, family? We've been where we had to go back and the professor's like, hey, you may need to word this a little different, or you need to cite your references. And the way that you cite a reference is by using the author's name, the piece of work, and then the year that the piece of work was wrote. Okay, I'm just saying arbitrarily there. Now, it states here on December 20th, as plagiarism allegations continue to build up, see how they're trying to make that her resigning was about plagiarism and not her stance, her neutral stance with Palestine, Hamas, the Jewish state of Israel, as well as the Jewish students on Harvard campus. It says that plagiarism allegations continue to build up. The university announced Gay would make 3 additional corrections to her 1997 doctoral dissertation. 2 scholars from Gay was accused of lifting additional material. On Monday, Franklin D. Gilliam Jr. and Gary King both told the Crimson. Now, these are the people that they interviewed, and they, during the investigation, stated that, oh, she plagiarized you guys' work. So the Harvard newspaper, the Harvard Crimson, went out and spoke with these 2 gentlemen. And they both told the Crimson in December that they did not consider Gay's use of their work plagiarism. So you already have 3 people stating that this sister did not plagiarize their work. They did not plagiarize their work. Now, granted, if you believe that it was trying to really oust her, that these people would have came out and say, yeah, she plagiarized my work. I need credit for my work. She plagiarized my work. Because that's a lot of intellectuals who write books and write articles and journals. Oh, no, copy paste. Now, for the record, you and me plagiarize some work. Hey, that's a good paragraph. Let me put that in there. Let me change the but to the to and put a comma. Let me put a semicolon. Let me break it up a little bit so it's not 100% plagiarism. But we know we plagiarize some work. But this sister did not. She's not like you and me. Or maybe I'm just self-reflecting and did a fraudulent slip on my own self. I just snitched on myself. So hopefully none of my college professors are watching. Anyway, it says, in a Tuesday email to the Crimson, Gilliam, the chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, wrote that he is saddened by Gay's departure. I have known Dr. Claudine Gay to be an active and controversial scholar for many years, he wrote. A Harvard professor who served as Gay's dissertation advisor previously defended the integrity of Gay's work, saying that her dissertation stated that her dissertation met the highest levels of academic integrity in the December 11th statement to the Crimson. So you have all these people coming out defending Dr. Claudine Gay. If you were going to commit plagiarism, would you plagiarize your professor's work and expect to get away with it, he wrote? You mean to tell me you are plagiarizing your own professor's work, stating that she did not do that? King did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the latest allegations. In a letter to Harvard affiliates Tuesday, the Harvard Corporation briefly acknowledged accusation against Gay, highlighting the extraordinary contribution she has made as a scholar. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Harvard Corporation or whatever, but known formally as the president and fellows of Harvard College, the Harvard Corporation is the oldest corporation in the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about power. We're talking about old white money. We're talking about prestigious at the highest level. We're talking about white tablecloths. We're talking about real silverware, like the real silver, like the ones they took and melted down to make bullets. Real silver. And they stated here, with great sadness, we write in light of the President Claudine's Game message, announcing her intention to step down from the presidency and resume her faculty position at Harvard. So the sister's still going to be at Harvard, guys. I don't think she's going to stay that long. This thing about that, you became the president and now you just a teacher? Nah. That's like the president somehow, what you call it when the president gets ousted from their position? Oh, when the president becomes impeached, then they're going to become a congressperson? That's not how that works. But anyway, Harvard University gives preference to applicants who are legacy, relatives of donors, children of faculty and staff, or recruited athletes. In 2022, Harvard's overall acceptance rate was 3.2% to the general public. Think about that. Your chances of attending Harvard, you was valedictorian, salutatorian, you had over 100 hours community service, you got the Peace Award, I don't know, but you got all A's. You got A's from the time you enter kindergarten, but only 3.2% of you are going to enter college. And by the way, Harvard University does not have a large Black population. The majority of Harvard students are Asian and white. And only 3.2% of the acceptance of applications are the general public. So where's all these other people? How are they getting into Harvard? Well, with an average admit rate of 42% for donors, donor-related applicants, and 34% for legacies. So take, for instance, I don't know, I can't use Puffy right now. That's not a good example. I can't use TD Jakes right now. That's not a good example. I can't use Oprah right now. That's not a good, I'm trying to look for billionaires, guys. I can't look for Tyler Perry. That's not a good example right now. I can use Bill Cosby. I'll use Bill Cosby, my brother Bill Cosby. Take, for instance, Bill Cosby. He's a donor of Harvard University. He gives hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. I'll have a 42% chance of getting into Harvard. I will have a 42% chance of getting into Harvard if I had a billionaire, okay, if I had a billionaire to support me. If I had a billionaire to support me, I have a 42% chance over a 3.2 chance of getting into Harvard, the most prestigious college in the world. And if my parents went to Harvard, I have a 34% chance. So already, family, we're looking at 76% of people who apply for Harvard. And we're not talking about the top students in the country. We're not talking about your salutatorians, your valedictorians, people part of DECA, people part of all these prestigious intellectual groups. You have an IQ of 200. You're just a brainiac. You just a intellectual savant. You have a 3.2 chance of getting into Harvard. According to a 2023 analysis, Harvard average legacy acceptance rate for classes of 2000 through 2019 was about 34%, compared with 6% for non-legacy. For non-legacy, okay? So here's my agenda for this year. I'm really pushing for Black men and women to really start building together. In the year of 2023, I think that was the most divisive and the most negative year that I've witnessed on this earth when it comes to Black women and Black men. There was all sorts of conversations, and this is the reason why we need to be with each other. This is why we need to build one another up, because at any time your position at your corporation can be snatched from you of false allegations. False allegations of plagiarism, false allegation of allowing anti-Semitic violence and behavior on the Harvard campus, which isn't true. They had rallies, they had protests, and she basically stated that they have a First Amendment right to say these things on campus. Let me guys point you to this. Let me guys point you to this very, very quickly. At the end of the fiscal year of 2022, Harvard University endowment was $51 billion, making it the wealthiest university in the world. Harvard's endowment is larger than the GDP of more than 120 countries, including Iceland, Bahrain, and Tunisia. Let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further. Now, I want you to focus on this column right here. This is the GDP abbreviation because some of these numbers, they're too large for me to read, okay? 984 million. Okay, some of these countries you're not going to know, some of these countries you are going to know. St. Kitts and Nevis. Harvard's GDP, as I call it, because it's a small little country, is 51 billion. Theirs is only 962 million. Okay, they almost have half the GDP of Guatemala, more than St. Vincent and Grenada. What else we have here? More than Samoa of 832 million. Again, Harvard is worth $51 billion. They're close to Luxembourg. Okay, they're close to Uzbekistan. They're over Togo, which is an African country. Their amount is very close to Panama. And the list goes on and on. Family, listen, Harvard is the most powerful college and university in the world. And they're the richest. And I really want you to understand the dynamic of her position, the complexity of her position of a Black American woman being the president of the most powerful, the most prestigious, the most honorable college in the world today. And in 6 months, they ousted her. They counseled her. They took away her position. And not only that, they disgraced her. Disgrace in an adjective that describes someone who has lost the public's respect due to bad behavior. Bad on you. You plagiarized your work. Even though that every person we stated that you plagiarized their work came out and stated that you did not plagiarize their work, you're guilty for plagiarism, like Jonathan Majors. Even though we saw that there was a dispute, there was an altercation, and that you were trying to get away from her. And so you try to put her back into the truck, and you ran 4 to 5 New York City blocks. Because he's in shape from Creed 3. My body used to be like that too. I'm kidding. It was never like that. But nonetheless, you're still guilty. You're still guilty. Yeah. A lot of people like to believe that, discrimination, bias, and racism doesn't exist in America. You better check out the FBI and Justice.gov crime report. 3,400 anti-Black violent hate crimes against Black people. You better check it out. You better stop having these Thomas Sowell, Larry Elders, Candace Owens tell you otherwise. Yeah. I'm not telling Black people, because of oppression and suppression of the white supremacist country that we live in, that you can't be prosperous, that you can't be rich. You can be rich all you want. You still Black. You can be rich all you want. And at any given moment, see, Jonathan Majors, multi-millionaire. He may be going to jail for a year. Sean Puffy Combs' daddy, whatever you want to call him. Allegations. If someone comes out and stated that I think allegations did come out. He had to pay some woman, $100 million? You see what I'm saying? At any moment you think that you're the highest of the heights, they can strip it all down from you. They can strip it all away from you. That's why, you know, some people don't like when black people don't speak on a job. We like, no, this is best I don't say anything. I can tell you I have my box under my table. What do you mean you have your box under your table? If I say anything, I'm getting fired. Then when you don't say anything, Jerome doesn't like us. He just says good morning and goes to his cubicle and does his work and turns it in on time. He meets all of his milestones and completes his projects before time. He doesn't like us because he doesn't hang out with us at the bar and speak about political and religious topics. Huh? Defame, damage the good reputation of someone, slander. Now, as we stated before, when we're looking at the video clip of the Congresswoman stating that the #1 hate crime in America is anti-Jew, is anti-Semitic, she lied. She lied. Should she step down? Should she resign? I mean, I'm asking. Because it's amazing how people in politics can lie and put black people up on allegations and investigate them and not be persecuted themselves. That's the problem that I have. Again, I really want to point this out to you, family. This is from justice.gov. They're stating here, hate crimes are based upon race. The majority of hate crimes are based upon race, and race-based crimes in 2022, the latest statistics that come out from the federal government, is anti-black, numbering 3,400. That's 3 times higher. That's next highest racial or ethnic category. Let me highlight these for you, family. Let me highlight this so people can understand. So when a congresswoman gets up on the stand and states that, oh, anti-Semitic hate crimes is the #1 hate crimes in America, she lied and she got away with it. And no one's going to call her up on charges. And no one's going to call her up on charges. Yeah, buddy. Unfortunately, our sister, she was only there for 6 months. She was only there for 6 months. Family, there's a lot to cover here. I only touched the surface when it comes to topics like this. I see my brother Ricky Mann in the room, my great Ma Jermaine Anderson, Judas Farah, Leonard D. Yuda. Listen, guys, I don't know how to pronounce all these damn names, okay? Hunter Green, okay, that's the easier one. I'm not good at reading sometimes. Hunter Green said, what's up, Logic? Both of her parents are Haitian immigrants. See, black men and black women coming together. Her husband is a white man. Of course, her. Okay. Before I get out of here, can I just say this? Have you noticed that all of the black women who are in these very prestigious, like the press secretary, like Claudine Gay, what's the black lady who became the Supreme Court justice? I forgot her name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. All of the Kamala Harris, when she wants to claim black, right, or Asian, doesn't matter. All of them are married to white men. Or they're married to white men, or they're part of the LGBTQ community. Or they're part of the LGBTQ community. Just like Clarence Thomas, his wife is white. So I guess to get anywhere in America, you know, these very executive level positions, whether it be in government or the private sector or the educational institutions, you have to marry someone white. So maybe that's a good way. Go ahead and get you a degree. Okay. Sell out your race. Stop hanging out with black folk. Okay. Hang with the higher elites. Get you a white woman or a white man, and, you know, they'll put you in position. But it comes at a cost, because now Clarence Thomas Clarence Thomas being scrutinized. Yeah, That's what Cooning get you for so long. That's what Cooning get you for so long. So family, when you guys are looking at this situation right here, what I want you guys to understand is that this is not about plagiarism. This is not about her plagiarizing her dissertation back in 1997. What this is about.
Policies are ongoing.
Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
I know that over the last couple of months, there has been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which I understand is the critical topic that we are here to discuss.
That's correct. It is anti-Jewish hate crimes. And Harvard ranks
the lies
to
that this woman is spewing right now, family. I just can't control my laughter.
This is why I've called for your resignation.
That's why you call for her
Anti-Jewish hate
resignation.
crimes.
Right.
And Harvard ranks the lowest when it comes to protecting Jewish students. This is why I've called for your resignation and your testimony today. Do you know what the #1 hate crime in America is?
I know that over the last couple of months, there has been an alarming rise of anti-Semitism, which
Hold it right there, sis. When the Congresswoman Massa Stefanik asked her, do you know the #1 hate crime in America? Did you notice the sister didn't say that the #1 hate crime in America is anti-Jewish? She basically saying that this year there's been a rise in the statistics, though there's been a more exploited or more shown presence of anti-Semitic because of the conflict that's happening between Israel and Hamas. Because she knows, and that's why she didn't say it, she knows that the #1 hate crime in America is being anti-Black. Violence against Black people. See, family, when people tell you that Black culture is the problem, no. Black culture is not the problem. I've debunked this many a times. Black culture is not the problem. You know what the problem is? White culture. Let that sink in for a second. When we look at the debauchery of women dancing on tables at kitchen and cocktails, when we look at the degenerates that are dancing and twerking and I don't just mean women. There's men twerking out there too, part of a certain community. On police cars, in the streets, in stadiums. They're doing it everywhere. They're just showing all sorts of degeneracy. They even made Black people the face of fentanyl. They made Black people the face of the retail crisis, even though they've seen other groups like Hispanics and whites do it as well. But we're being the face of the criminal class here in America. And we've already shown statistics. That majority of Black Americans, 45, not majority, almost half of Black Americans are in the middle class. We've already seen that. We've seen the statistics. So everything they're telling us are simply just lies. But they have other Black people believing these racial agenda and these racial narratives that they push to the public. And now to this point, they're even telling America that the #1 hate crime in America is being anti-Jewish. Even though we got the stats here, family. We got the stats. Let me show you. We got the stats. And this is from justice.gov. I want to beat the drum on this so bad. I mean, I'm beating the dead horse. I want to continue to beat it because I'm tired of these politicians. I'm tired of these allegedly white supremacists in office. I'm tired of these white supremacists wearing badges and those who do not wear badges. Get away with lies, get away with violence, get away with shaping a narrative that Black people is the cause of everything wrong in America, except for illegal immigration. But then they would blame the Haitians and the Hispanics. But I'm not putting on the cape for them either. But when you show them statistics, that's why I tell you people, I don't like to debate. Let's have a conversation, right? Again, when I mean I don't like to debate, I don't like those very divisive debates. Let's bring truth to the conversation. You get your sources and I'll get my sources. And we don't need to have no exoteric battle about how you feel. Well, I feel like black people should be doing better in 2024 because no. What does statistics show you? What does the statistics say? If black people had the highest rate of crime, and also the most hated people, and has the highest rate of unemployment, and has the highest rate of birth deaths. Hopefully this is painting a picture where you guys can essentially understand. We have to debunk, we have to counter, and we have to call out everything that they're stating that black people are and when black people are not. Back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they said, well, you know, black people are just not that intelligent. Why aren't black people that intelligent? Well, you know, black people's heads are really small, so their brains are not that big. They're almost ape-like. But see, look at white people's head. Look at Asian people's head. They have bigger heads, so they have bigger brains, thus they're being smarter. Did you guys know that existed? And again, there were other scientists, there were other intellectuals that debunked that narrative that your intelligence, how smart you are, your critical thinking skills, has nothing to do with the size of your head or brain. Well, I think I've really beaten a dead horse here today, and I'm glad I did. I hate that this has happened to our sister, but at the end of all things, this is what happened when the society gives you a position that she most possibly earned. But when you start looking into people's backgrounds and how they got to that position, as someone stated in the chat, she comes from a Haitian background, so she is not a foundational Black American. That's probably one of the reasons why she got in that position. And then secondly, and most importantly, she married a white man. And again, your preference is your preference. I am not demonizing black folk for the choices they're making. I'm not Dr. Umar Johnson, but I do agree with what he says. But I'm just not as divisive, and I really don't care who you guys are dating. But I will say I do agree that it does take away from the Black power base, and it does destroy the Black nuclear family, thus affecting us economically. Because this narrative that we put on ourselves, these certain agendas that was really pushing an agenda of dividing Black women from Black men. At one point in time in America, Black men and women, we were the most married people in this country. Now we're the most separated. Now we're the most divorced. And I want you to also take into account, yes, we can call out the numbers of Black women that have, Black women are the most educated group in America. They have the most degrees, but they also have the most debt. Black women, in compared to Black men, have a higher rate of home ownership. Yeah, Black single women, Black single mothers, Black single women, right? Whether they're single with kids or not, have a higher rate or has outnumber Black men in home ownership. I don't know if you guys knew that. But also, Black women, unfortunately, are the most in debt. And this is why I'm pushing the agenda of Black people forming unions together, Black men and women, making a family, whether you want kids or not. I just know that we're better together. So if you believe in you need somebody who's 6 feet, 6 figures, 6-pack, you might just have to settle for somebody like me. 5'11", a 1-pack is just kind of solid down there. When I hold it tight, it's solid. And yeah, I think I make over 6 figures. But other than that, if you make $100,000, sis, and I make $40,000, what's in your mind? What's in your mind that's saying he needs to make just as much as me or more in order for me to get with him? See, what I realize is that relationships used to be built on a general likeness. Now, again, we kind of get into the argument of modernization and being traditionalist. We get into that argument all the time. Women are stating that I want a traditional male where I can stay home and take care of the kids. My question is this. A lot of women of today, they want professions. A lot of them want jobs. Now, for those who don't want jobs, they don't want to work. Oh, I think I should stay at home. We get a nanny, we get a maid. Why do I need you? These are the questions, family. And see, my wife, she's a professional. She wants to work. Oh, no, baby, you stay at home. You stay at home where she works from home. Where you don't get on your computer. You don't bring in that extra money you bringing in. How the hell you think I can afford all these damn vacations? Me and my wife, we share the toll of the bill. And we're happily married. Anyone who have ever met us know we're happily married. And I'll be with older guys all the time. I'm always with older guys. I like to soak up their wisdom and some of their dad jokes, of course. And they say, well, you know, man, I pay all the bills in my house. Good job. And I'm not against that. But see, we keep pushing these social norms on Black people. But when I look in my neighborhood, guess who I see going to work? White women and white men, Asian women and Asian men. Everybody's going to work, but we're still trying to be the traditionalists. Inflation is at an all-time high. Food is up. Utility bills are up, but we're saying, you know what? You should get you a man who's making six figures so you can stay at home and do nothing. Let me tell you something. Family. If she makes $100,000 and you make $40,000, you're still striving to do better and make better or whatever. You're just doing better. You're just trying to do better. You guys make $140,000 together. You guys make $140,000 together. And that's the problem that we're running in as Black women and Black men, that we are adhering to social norms or social rhetoric or a social divide or a social agenda, whatever label you want to put to it. If this man didn't have the opportunity and or cash to pick up a trade, pick up a license, go to school, get a degree to have a high-paying job, but he's out there busting his ass, he's a hardworking man, he's a good man, and you're basing his character off of his money amount. Majority of Black people make anywhere from $42,000 to $55,000 a year. And let me tell you something, you guys can easily be six-figure earners if you just join together. No more Dusty Doos, no more Pookies and Ray Rays. I'm asking all the Pookies and Ray Rays and Jerome's in the house to stay with the woman you got impregnated. And let's stop putting the blame on men. Let's stop putting the blame on me. These men, are only 20% of the men having 80% of the babies. And they doing these women wrong. Family, it's both of our issue. It's both of our fault. It's called being pro-responsible. Let's talk about responsibility. See, when we're looking at the Pookies and Ray Rays having all of these babies that they can't take care of, are we ever just, and again, I'm not getting on our sisters, this is not to be divisive. I'm just trying to incite a commentary here in context. Did we ever look at the nature of the woman? Are we thinking about that? Let's also look at her character. Why is she laying down with Pookie and Ray Ray? Why is she laying down with Jerome in the house? Why is she laying down with Bruh Man from the 5th floor? Why is she doing that? Why is she doing that? You can't see this guy on the street every day. He's walking up and down the block. He may be selling a little something. He may got some t-shirts popping off. He ain't doing nothing really with his life, but girl, he handsome. He got that swag. Then you have unprotected sex with him and get pregnant. And you think he has the means to take care of that child? That's because we are pushing these narratives and we're not looking at the real cause. It's called being responsible. She needs to be responsible who she sleeps with, and he needs to be responsible on who he sleeps with. So if they're both sleeping with each other, none of them are responsible. None of them are responsible. You get what I'm getting at? So when we look at this family, can we do better together? Can we make a violent effort? Here's the thing. We've had all the divisive topics in 2023 about relationship. We've had all the divisive talks about men. We had all the divisive topics about women. We had all the divisive topics about the passport bros. We had all the divisive topics about the OnlyFans women. We've had all those topics. We've had all those discussions, from fresh and fit to what's our brother name who passed away? Kevin Samuels. We've had all the conversations. Now that we've had all these conversations and we've contextualized, we've broken down, we've analyzed, can we now come up with solutions so we can be together, so we can build together, so we can live a better life together? Now, did y'all know early 2023, it kind of went away quickly, that women were basically stating they want to go out and have sex with men and have children and raise the child on their own? Have y'all guys heard that that narrative? Women were having sex with men, and I'm talking about black women, because they were successful. They was in corporate America. They was making the bag. They didn't want to be with no man, but they just wanted to have sex and have a child. Why in the hell would you want to struggle by yourself? Why in the hell would women want to struggle with a child by themselves? What? That's the question I had. And then they had statistics that came out that stating that men who were raised by single women were 80% of the population in prison. And they stated that 80% of the men who wasn't in prison, who were raised by their fathers, in contrary of the previous statistic. So statistically, children raised by men, because we base the way we raise kids on standards, discipline, and what women like to say, well, men don't have any emotional intelligence. We are the epitome of emotional intelligence. Because we have to teach our young men, to stop being emotionally immature. See, when you see all this ratchetness from the black male culture, whether they be foundational Black Americans or not, it's from emotional immaturity, not being able to harness and control and decipher and understand your emotions so you don't have a violent outburst. So men who understand this, we instill these principles. We cultivate our young black men's mind to first calm down, dissect, analyze the situation, and then respond. The only thing we say that you will have an immediate response is somebody put their hands on you, then you knock the shit out of them. But if you're just having an argument with somebody back and forth, that shouldn't evolve to violence. Or should it?